Hey everybody, this is Arthur Shopper, the field director for MassResistance. We are the international pro-family group that makes the difference. I came across an interesting post on X. It was sharing an article from the New York Times. I think it was the actual author, I don't remember his name. But the headline basically read, "I'm gay, not queer." And it was a specific indictment against the excessive perversity, promotionalism of pornographic behavior, images, actions at pride parades. It was an indictment against all of the disgusting, overblown perversity that has dominated LGBT, its movement, its mission, its manifestation in the public square. And what I was really struck by is there is this further effort on the part of people who abuse their bodies with the same sex, or who engage in the lie that they're of the opposite sex, or they can change their sex, or whatever other stuff is going on. But at the same time, they want to say, oh, we have nothing to do with all that depravity that goes on in the public square. We don't like the stuff that's being done to kids. We don't want this stuff going on in the public square. You know, these are cop-outs and artful dodges of the lowest order. What you're seeing from LGBT, they're still LGBT activists because they're trying to make the case for the idea that their homosexual conduct is still okay, that it's normal. Just as J.D. Vance had said in his interview with Joe Rogan, he talked about so-called normal gays. But homosexuality isn't normal. It's destructive to the human body. It's harmful to the human mind. It degrades the human spirit. It is a lie at its core. And what we see is a growing movement among homosexuals who call themselves independent or conservative leaning, or who say that they're rejecting all the excesses of the left. But the fact is that promoting homosexuality into the public square in the first place was an excess of the left. We are seeing the increasing aggressiveness, the increased overwhelm of the whole LGBT movement, which is just a manifestation of what happens with all left-wing movements. They keep getting more radical, they keep getting more aggressive, they keep getting more demanding, and they begin to eat up the very founders and initial adherents who promoted the movement. This happens all the time. You saw this with the French Revolution. Robespierre, Danton, Saint-Just, Camille Desmoulins. These were four of the key luminaries who instigated, inspired, and drove the French Revolution. And then all four of them were killed as a result of it. Well, Saint-Just was assassinated by Charlotte Corday. But the other three I listed, they ended up being executed by the Committee on Public Safety under the law of suspects. The revolutionaries turned on the very revolutionaries who had started the whole disaster. This happens every time. This is why you have to get back to the core of the issue, which is you have to reject the radicalism and the destruction of natural law and natural order. These attempts by so-called normal gays, normal transgenders, there's nothing normal about any of it. They created this mess by pushing this perversity into the public square in the first place. How we turn back all of this degradation and destruction in the public square is you have to reject LGBT entirely. It's not an identity. It's a destructive set of behaviors. It's a cult-like ideology which has forced its way into growing facets of the public culture, the public square, the public mind. You have to go back to the truth. No one is born gay. No one is born in the wrong body. It's not that you somehow discover this false identity about yourself when you're young, and it's not normal. We have to get back to that strong cultural norm, that basic fundamental truth. When someone says, "I'm gay, not queer," the fact is, gay was queer. And then the activists picked up on it and pushed more radicalism, but it was radical at the outset. It was destructive at the outset. We have to get back to the truth. And we have to say, no one is gay, no one is queer. Your behaviors are queer, the ideology, the gay ideology, is wrong, it's destructive, and we cannot normalize it. We cannot support it. It has to be redeviantized. The same way that we see on a basic level, certain cities are having to redeviantize, public defecation. They're having to redeviantize other acts of public disorder. Because this idea of, well, people can do whatever they want just as long as they're not affecting me. Well, what happens? One homeless guy defecates on the street and nothing is done about it, more people will do it. If it's okay for one man to abuse his body, pretend to be a woman, or use another man as if he's a woman, and we say nothing, pretty soon that perversion becomes pervasive. Then it becomes political, and then it becomes oppressive. This happens every single time. Just like we saw with the increased oppression of the French Revolution, until the Thermidorian reaction demanded some restoration of order again. We have to reject this idea of, well, someone will say that he's gay, but he doesn't want to force it on anybody. But the fact is, the very nature of homosexuality is that it forces its way into the public square. That's why it had to be deviantized. That's why there was sanction on it. So this idea that you see from some of these writers, they say that they're gay but not queer. It's all queer. It's all corrupt. It all needs to be quashed. We have to get back to standing for truth. That's what mass resistance at its core is all about. Mass resistance understands you have to get to the truth of the matter, stand for truth, and fight for truth. And if you want to succeed in the fight against the LGBT agenda, if you want to stand for truth, then join Mass Resistance. Visit our website, www.massresistance.org. Sign up with us, reach out to us, we'll get in touch with you. We will help you take a stand for what's right and put to flight all of this gay, queer, trans, all this crap. We'll put an end to it in your community.